You're listening to Darling Shine, a podcast by Ellidy Pullen and myself, Chloe Fisher.
Darling Shine is your survival kit to the unexpected shit life throws at you.
This episode is brought to you by Esmi. It's no secret, you guys know Chloe and I absolutely love this Aussie-made vegan and cruelty-free brand. I'm so excited about their new ingestible skincare range. I'm feeling like I'm 700 years old lately. I've got bags under my eyes. My skin is a mess. I've been using Esmi's Skintrients capsule range, and there's 7 different types to support 7 different skin concerns. I have about 700 different skin concerns, but at least we're targeting a few of them.
A big yes from us, all about that nourishing our skin from the inside out. Esmi have offered our Darling Shine listeners a free mini skin treat when you spend $60 or more. Use code DarlingShine at checkout. Code is valid to the 24th of March 2022. Hello everybody and welcome to season 3 of Darling Shine, the podcast.
It's been a hot minute.
It has.
Merry Christmas and happy fucking New Year's to everyone.
Bit late, but better than never, hey.
I feel like it just happened. I feel like it's still... Someone said to me the other day, oh, like it's fucking February already. And I was like, it's November. Like, what are you talking about? I literally just can't believe it's... No, I'm definitely...
It actually is weird that it's already nearly the end of Feb.
Feels,
Is it? Are we in
yeah,
Feb?
it's Feb. It's wild.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
But yeah, bits been happening, sis.
We missed everyone a lot, by the way. We kind of like did that pushback because there's just obviously been a lot on.
A bit on.
I
think I need to get bit on tattooed on my forehead.
Okay. We can do that. We can arrange that. We'll
no, I
arrange
was
that.
kidding. It's going to be like a dare now and I'm going to have to get it.
But we obviously pushed everything back because there was a lot going on with Elle, myself, Minnie, Elle's dad, and then it was just a lot. And Britt, our producer, is also about to pop a little egg out of her vulva.
Of her vulva, yeah. It's going to be so cute. We should live stream.
Yes, she'd love that. She doesn't even let us touch her belly.
We've been trying to touch her belly all morning and she just can't deal with it at all. I loved it when people would caress my belly.
Yeah.
I was all about it.
But we've been fluffing around all morning trying to get this episode recorded. But anyway,
and would you actually believe? Me and Chloe both we're muck around minis at the moment. Like we've actually had to record this episode for the second time because we were telling stories in the first episode and both of us are halfway through. We're like, oh wait, I forgot. And then I was just like, fuck it, we need to do this episode again. Let's hit re-record. And here I actually came early today for once, and Britt and Chloe were muck around minis. So Minnie wasn't mucking around, I wasn't mucking around, and Britt and Chloe were muck around minis. Yeah.
But anyway, here we are. We're so excited to be back. We pushed it back a little bit and then we kind of were like, fuck, we actually really we miss it. And now it's been dragging out a little. I think we have really definitely been leaving you guys hanging. Yeah. But it feels good to be back.
And I felt like I don't know about you, but I felt like weirdly like I really need to throw myself into something right now because I'm a bit like my brain's a bit fucked.
Is that going to happen?
Yeah, well, I'm trying.
No, I'm kidding. You've been a good boy.
I get a hard time from this son, but look, I need I do have a full-time job on my hands with muck around Minnie, but
I'm not actually the devil. You make out as if I'm the devil. I'm not. The devil wears Prada. Where's my handbag?
Yeah, look, she's kind of like a angel devil kind of vibe. Just like a split personality. We love it. I'd hate it if you were like, too nice. I'd be like, fucking stop being so nice.
I would get absolutely fucking.
And I don't like being treated I don't like getting special treatment. Fuck, don't be nice to me because that pisses me off more than anything.
I'm not. Don't worry. Anyway,
yeah. So a bit of tough love, please.
Yes. But firstly, I wanted to address.
Yes.
If you guys remember at the end of last year when we filmed that first episode and I had come back from LA and I had my broken arm in a cast and Minnie was like a newborn and Ellidy was like burping Minnie and then she did that projectile vomit all over Ellidy's laptop. Well, your laptop has officially died. It's gone.
R.I.P. to little MacBook. Steve Jobs, if you're listening, can we get a little Apple Spono?
Steve Jobs up there with Chumpo.
Is he?
Are you joking?
No. Is he up there? What happened again? Radiation in the brain.
He died, yeah.
Oh,
Steve
fuck.
Jobs
Well,
died.
I hope we're hanging out because he'd be a sharp tool in the shed for Chump to have to hang out and chat shit.
Anyway, if you're listening, Steve Jobs, let the guy who owns Apple know now that we'd love an Apple sponsorship. So
Steve Joblet. That's why you're... Yeah, okay.
That's why my nickname is Steve Jobs.
Yes. What would my nickname be? It would be like a monkey. Like, what's a monkey's name? Like
that one that just stands there with the
symbols.
The symbols, bang, 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 bang.
Would you call me like Gerald and you Steve Jobs?
Gerald.
Yeah, don't you reckon that looks like a monkey name?
No, okay. Well, yeah, that we can call you
Nigel.
Gerald.
Maybe Nigel. I like that.
Yeah, Nigel the monkey. That sounds.
Do you want to quickly tell us about the Celeste Barber post? Because that was
Okay.
fucking funny for anyone that saw that.
So Celeste Barber a couple of weeks ago posted this video. You know, if you don't follow her, head over to her Instagram. She's an absolute laugh.
She's
so
the best.
basically, she mimics or like takes the piss out of celebrities when they do all these photo shoots or basically anything, and then she reenacts it in her kind of style. Anyway, a few weeks ago, there was this boy that tied like when you wear a face mask, the loops that go over your ear, he like tied it in a knot with his tongue, and then she like reenacted and like put the whole mask in her mouth and was gagging and blah, blah, blah. And I commented going, oh, I can tie an Allen's snake in my mouth with my tongue. That's
Which
like my
is
party
true.
trick.
She's always been able to do it.
And all these people were commenting going like, who's Allen and why have you got his snake in your mouth?
Is Allen's not global?
Allen's lollies.
snakes, yeah.
I don't know.
Because who the fuck doesn't know who Allen is when it comes to snakes?
Well, these people didn't. So, and then a lot of people were like, we need to see this on the pod. You need to tie a snake in your mouth. Do you reckon I should try and do it
Do
real
it
quick?
right
Okay.
now. Here's a snake.
I stole a snake from a kid's party this morning, so.
This is awkward if it doesn't work out. So for those listening, Chloe's just got it in her gob right now. Oh. Stop! Hold on. Prove it. Get close to the camera. I could never do that.
It doesn't mean that I can give a good blowjob though.
Yeah,
so
lots of people are saying Fish is a lucky boy.
No. He thinks he's an unlucky boy. Anyway, that's my party trick. So, Celeste, you should do that one
That's
too.
so good. I don't have a fucking party trick. Got to think of something. My tits leak all the time. That's cute.
Yeah, Ellidy goes to parties and squirts her breast milk on boys.
That's a good party trick. I'd probably
gross.
get cancelled if I did it on the podcast. I might not do that.
Yeah, keep it in.
Keep
was such
it
a
under
yummy
wraps.
snake. No, it wasn't even an Allen snake. That was a natural confectionery one.
Those
so it was a
ones
bit
aren't
harder.
as
It was a
good,
bit
bro.
stiff.
Yeah, no, you
stiff
need to go
snake
the
in my
full
mouth.
sugar. If you're eating snakes, you're eating snakes, bruh.
Anyway, so that was that. But anyway, there's been fucking a bit on. I'm going to say a bit on. So if
How many times can one say a bit on in this episode? Someone count.
Yes. But yeah, Elle's had a bit on. Fuck, I got to stop saying that.
Even
now.
you've
It's
had a
killing
bit
me.
on.
The last few months, literally since Minnie has been born, you whisked her out of your vulva. She was at home for like a few days, and then you've gone down to Sydney. Do you want to talk everybody through what's been happening? Because it's been 3.5 months. You've just come home, but what's been going on in the last 3 months for you?
Yeah. Bit on. Miniature was born, and then she was home for a mini minute, and then we made the mission down to Sydney, my brother and I and Minnie and Rummy, obviously, to be with Dad. So for those of you who have been keeping up
Kardashians.
keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with the Pullens, Minnie's grandpa, so Minnie's opa, so my dad, got diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma of the brain a month after Chump passed away. Stage 4 means terminal. He was told he might not survive till 6 months, or like he was told he might survive a few months. He ended up getting a surgery and then getting having a few more months up his sleeve, which was amazing. And his attitude is amazing. Anyone who's got, look, I'm little to nothing to do with cancer before this. I didn't really know anyone in our family that had it. And then
Sorry, I'm actually smiling because
Are you laughing?
No, I am actually smiling because I was thinking of your dad. And sorry to interrupt.
He's fucking cute,
so
isn't he?
funny. And I'm going to post one of these on our Instagram. Like her dad was like full on, like he would go down like on road trips down the coast and would see a kangaroo on the side of the road and he would literally pull
dead
over.
kangaroo?
A dead roadkill kangaroo
Roadkill.
would pull over and just like cut a few little kangaroo steaks out of the kangaroo's
my God.
backside and bring it to the nearest camping.
Did you see that recently
Yes.
that my brother posted?
I have that saved on my phone, but yeah, bring it to the nearest camping place and like chuck it on the
mate.
barbecue. It actually looks pretty good.
Oh,
I
you'd
wouldn't
eat.
it.
You'd love it. No,
You
you
reckon?
100%
Roadkill,
would.
that's
Yeah.
pretty.
No, it was fresh. So He'd probably eat if it was cold, but he checks if it's warm, and he always tells us it's warm, and we're like, yeah, nah, I'm just peeling out. I'm going to have some crackers. But Dad would like literally cut, you know, like you said, a bit of thigh out and then whack it. Like he would make a little, if he doesn't have a lighter, make a little fucking fire with some stones probably. He's literally Tarzan. And then cook up this kangaroo on the side of the road. And my brother legitimately posted a video of that the other week. Like after Dad died, he was posting heaps of videos of Dad, and I was like, I don't think I can share this because a lot of people cannot deal with looking at stuff like this.
So he was a full-time legend.
Full-time fucking legend. Actually, I in his so we're going to get there, but basically when I was speaking at his funeral, because you've just reminded me then, I said this funny story about Dad, and it was like one of the second or third times that Chump met Dad, and we went over there in the morning and David was there, and Dad had this really cute pet minor, or I think it was I don't know what kind of bird, but he was rehabilitating this little bird, and it was like sitting on his shoulder, and he was just obsessed with like injured wildlife. He hates domestic animals, so like fuck dogs off, even though he likes Rummy because I forced him to. But he'd have this little bird, and it was like injured, and he was just doting on this bird. He's like, oh, it's so cute. And then we left for the day, and then we came back in the arvo, and we're like, Dad, where's the bird? And without my dad batting a fucking eyelid, he was like, I had bird on toast for lunch today, actually. Yeah, it was really good. And we were like, we just went white, and we were like, what do you mean you ate the bird? And he's like, the poor little guy wasn't going to make it. You know, that's just the way it goes.
I can't.
That's just normal. And then like, if
he had a cookbook, like,
oh no,
roadkill cookbook.
Poor Chump, when you were going over for dinner, you had to pretend you were really full and you were like not hungry. And Chump would just whip down the road for Macca's all the time because Macca's was down the road. And because Dad would literally be like, guys, I've got butter chicken for dinner. And I'd be like, I don't believe there's chicken in there, because you would never go to the butcher and buy meat. I know you wouldn't, because there's rabbits running around, and he loves, there's little, and like people in the street would bring him like injured goannas that have been run over, and they'd be like, Pete, can you help save this goanna? He'd be like, yeah, I'll save it. And he just cuts it up and puts it in a curry because he knows it's going to die. I'm literally not kidding. So when he says it's butter chicken, I'm like, no, it's butter rabbit.
Butter bunny.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't eat Dad's cooking. I definitely don't eat it anymore. But look, I did a few times eat some of his cooking, and I think I have like an iron tummy because of, anyway, there's going to be lots of vegans listening just going, fuck. I went vegan for a little while because of all this shit. I was like, I can't deal with it. But basically Dad's an absolute... R.I.P. Yeah, to the animals. To the animals. To everyone. Everyone's just dropping like flies around me. What the fuck's going on? We've got a bit on over here. So basically Minnie, my daughter, and Rummy and I and my brother in a different car, we drove down to Sydney to be with Dad because he was really deteriorating, and basically I was pregnant and I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to, I can't wait for Minnie to be born. I can't wait to bring Minnie down to Dad. It was this thing because Minnie was going to be so tiny and so young. And I was like, I don't know how to be a mum. I don't know how to look after a newborn, but I've got to whack her in the car and how do I even do the car seat up? But no, we're going to go on a drive for 9 hours to Sydney. Yeah, just a miniature road trip. And it was pretty daunting. I was so scared to leave it. Yeah, I was so scared to leave. But I wanted to see Dad so bad. I just wanted to get there. But the whole, people were like, you're going to take, your fresh little newborn just on this big road trip? I know it's not that big, and people have done wild. Yeah, she was an angel because, newborns, she didn't wake up for, the first 2 months of her life. She barely had her eyes open at all. I didn't even know what colour her eyes were for ages. So, yeah, we whipped down to Sydney and... yeah, saw Dad, and when we first got down there, he was still kind of walking, and my brother was actually a few days behind us, and I was like, I could see Dad was slowly deteriorating. Like the second day he's walking was, the left side of his body was kind of going. You could see his left arm and left leg stopping to walk, and then within a week of that, he was literally bedbound. So I was like, going, come on, David, you've got to come down. I'm really worried Dad's going to slip away, and anyway. It was amazing to have that time, and I'm so glad I went down when I did, when Minnie was so young, because Dad was sleeping all the time. And Minnie, oh my God, when Dad first saw Minnie, it was the cutest moment ever. And I put little Minnie straight on top of him, and they just both slept together for hours. And Rummy was really sad too. You know how in tune she was. And I think apparently dogs can smell cancer. So yeah, we had some beautiful moments. Like just every time every time I'd go over, I'd just pop Minnie down on Dad and they'd sleep together, and it was so cute. And Dad would name Minnie heaps of cute, like he was like Minnie Mal, and that, because I've thought of so many funny nicknames for Minnie, but Minnie Mal wasn't one of them. So he'd call her Minnie Mal and then Minnie Minor Bird and stuff. It was just so cute.
So cute.
And we'd put on heaps of chumpy tunes every time we were there and just kind of tell Dad like amazing stories of growing up. And every time I'd go over, my friends would be like, oh, when you see Pete, can you tell him about this time when we were growing up when he did this? And like there was just so many funny stories. I'd go over and I'd be like, do you remember this? And Dad's...
Is it a weird feeling when people, like obviously you've had Chumpo die and it was very sudden, and then obviously your dad was like a drawn out death. Was it a weird kind of feeling because, you know, you actually did get to have all these moments and people would come in to say goodbye and like you were reminiscing on so much stuff? Did it make it like almost
so emotional?
Yeah.
So emotional. Every day we thought it was his final day, and Dad would... Do you know what? Dad was actually putting out so much energy every day because so many people were coming to visit, because he was in palliative care at that point, and so many of his friends would come over every day to hang out and to talk to him. And so Dad was awake a lot when he could have been resting, but then again, like what, you know, like it's not like he needed to save his energy for anything because it was his final days. But yeah, it was exhausting and so emotional. And Dad, I mean, we were all just so emotional every 5 minutes. And you know, Dad would just, sometimes he wouldn't be able to talk, and his long-term memory was really good. His short-term memory was really bad. So he wouldn't, he would not know, like, you know, you tell him something, he completely forget it. Like definitely wouldn't remember the next day. Or he just forgets key details of information, but long-term memory was amazing. So we'd be able to talk about our childhood and growing up, and he like, you know, every time we'd get really emotional seeing him deteriorate, he would just be like, don't worry, be happy. And he'd literally be asleep and he'd see us like crying, and he'd just kind of mutter under his breath, like, be happy, guys, be happy, like it's okay. Aww. And he'd always say to me, like, I'm going to be with Chump soon, it's going to be okay. And he is not, Dad, I don't think Dad knew. He's not a spiritual guy. I don't think he definitely, I don't know if he was scared at all knowing that he was going to die. I definitely don't think he knew where he was going at all. And he is one of those people that all along his cancer journey, because he's so positive, and he was always just like, you know, it's just interesting to see where this journey's going to take me. And we'd be like, fuck, it's not going anywhere good, mate. But he was just he's one of those people that's just like, I'm just going to hang on and go for the ride and see what happens. And towards the end, and he did deteriorate a lot, where he was barely awake for the last like 3 weeks of his life. And
you got to spend Christmas with him again?
Yeah, we got to spend Christmas with him, which was so special. And that was Minnie's first Christmas and Dad's last Christmas, which was so freaking cute, actually. And then after that, I'd say the last like 3 weeks of Dad's life, it became really difficult to like physically visit him. And he was just a lot more out of it. And he'd like look up and be like, Ellie, there's bugs all over the ceiling, and you'd look up and you'd be like, there's no bugs anywhere. But then he was just, his long-term memory was great. And when we'd come, he just was like, you could see his eyes were looking at us like he'd want to talk to us, and he'd be telling us things through his eyes kind of thing, because he often wouldn't find the words. And he was just so cute. It was just, I feel, I think when I reflect and I think about Dad's life and I think about Chump's life, and I remember saying to Dad ages ago, knowing that he was going to pass away, I was like, you know, what can we do? Like, do you have some bucket list shit that we need to do while you're well and able? And he was like, Ellie, look at my life. I've had the best time. I've traveled everywhere. He's met with a billion epic people and had some, like, you look through his photo albums and there's just so much fun he's had. It's like, if I could have just 1% of his life, I have lived to the fullest. And he's like, I don't have anything that I want to do. And he was always like, when he was, you know, more like with it, he'd be like, look at Chump, like he was 32. His life just got ripped away from him. Like, I feel so grateful. And so many people would say to me, Dad's still so young, like he shouldn't be gone. And absolutely, he is still so young. I think he was 69. And he was such a go-getter and such a big character and so energetic. And it just, and although it is a cancer death and a slow death and something that we were anticipating and we knew he was going to go, it is still such a shock. And I think a lot of people say that, like heaps of people will say to someone who's lost someone to cancer, like, you know, but you knew it was coming, so you were kind of prepared. And I guess, yes, to a certain degree, but I think the shock is just like, I think I surprised myself about how much shock I actually was in. So, but like, look, Dad's last moments were absolutely beautiful. My brother and I and Minnie and Rummy were there, and we went over there definitely not thinking Dad was about to go. We went over there just to be with Dad. We were holding Dad, and Dad's breathing got quite sporadic, and basically he did end up taking his last breath with us holding him. So when nice. I remember going over there that day thinking, oh, Dad, you know, he might have a few more days in him. But it all just happened within that hour, and it got to a point where we were holding him. We were like, come on, Dad, like, you can do it. You can let go. Like, we love you. You're our hero. Just telling him, like, you know, that we've had the best life with him, and that if he really wants to right now, he can let go. And he literally did let go right then and there in our arms. And Minnie was there, and Rami was there, and Bro was there, and I know that Dad was waiting for us. I just know that in my bones because we got there and it happened. And do you know what? A lot happened for me within the minutes straight after. So once I felt like he took his last breath, I knew that Dad was still there, and I was talking to him. I was holding him and I was still talking to him, and I just felt this like in my bones that he was still there and he was listening. And then within maybe 3 minutes after, I just knew that his spirit had completely gone, and his body was just then a vessel, and it was just lying there, and he was literally not in it. It was wild. Have you?
Really? No, I haven't seen a dead person before.
Because I didn't see Chump either, and I like planned in my head that I really want to see Dad, because I don't want to be in this limbo where I don't know what's going on. I want to really grieve properly and thoroughly and like feel the depth of what's happened so that I can process it, because I've got like Minnie and I've got so much going on that I don't want to be confused for too long. And like Dad and I had beautiful conversations, and it was a different situation. He was sick. It wasn't as sudden. So I'd like planned to make sure I really have his body and like hold him and deal with that. And I just learnt so much. Like there's this absolute feeling that he's 100% not in his body anymore, and he's gone. And I knew, I hope he's just with Chump. That's where,
of course.
Yeah,
I have no doubts.
I have no doubts, and I feel like we'll get to this because you've had some really cool signs lately, but I've already had signs from them both, and yeah, I just know that they're together, and those two got along like a house on fire. And yeah, so
Lucky your dad doesn't have to do any cooking up there.
Yeah, I wonder if they eat up there, because Chump will just be, he'll be at Macca's. Yeah. Their Macca's up there. He won't be eating goanna, that's for sure.
Oh no.
But no, look, I'm a professional at planning funerals now. Actually, I'm not, because you did all of Chump's funeral with everyone else. I didn't do any of that. But basically, it was the biggest whirlwind, and in my entire life, like there was a month there where I felt like each morning I'd wake up and I felt like I'd swallowed a towel. I was so stressed and so anxious, and I'd wake up feeling like I want to vomit, and like there was like a tea towel stuck in my throat, like a big gobstocker, and like I would struggle to breathe. So I think I've really struggled at the beginning of this year with anxiety. And I know that a lot of listeners, a lot of just every second person has had or will have anxiety at one point or another. So yeah, I just want to say that I've definitely been through that recently, and it's just awful. Like there's just been so much going on. And
I think as well, in amongst all that, you're also parenting as like a one person show, and then having to deal with your dad you know, deteriorating, dealing with Will's stuff. Like there's just so much going on for one person to like be able to manage your time and your energy. Of course it's going to take that out of you completely.
Just way too much going on for one person.
I remember speaking to you a few times just going, oh my God, I just would call because because my mum lives in Sydney near where Elle was, and I'd just be like, can you just go down and get her, like go and get Minnie, or just give her a break, because like there's...
Oh, Alison would just rock up and take Minnie, and I just like, I remember just, it would make me so, like, I just felt so lucky, and people would just come over and like look at me and be like, I've been told that I need to help you, and they would just like take Minnie away, and I was just like, and I just feel so lucky to have she's a legend and she's so cute, she looks like chump, and I just feel so lucky to have the village of support around me that I do, because and my biggest fear through the whole thing and like lots of things happening was just like, oh my God, I have this fresh, tiny newborn and this isn't fair on her. And I'm dealing with all this stuff, and like I just hope that I hope it's not rubbing off on her, and I hope that she's not stressed, and I hope that she's not taking it on, and I know that she's not. But yeah, I just felt like the whole time I was just trying to protect her and protect me to a certain degree, but obviously I couldn't, and yeah, it was just a lot. But everyone's so cute, to be honest. They'd just come up to me and be like look at me and just be like, you know, when people just look at you because they know you've been through a lot, and they'd just be like, how are you? Are you okay? And you just fucking crumble.
Lose your shit.
Like, oh my God. And then sometimes this a bit of sleep. Well, do you know what? Minnie's actually an awesome sleeper, but if she wakes up early and I didn't get to bed till late because I'm fucking thinking, there's so much going through my head, I would, you just wake up so tired and emotional, and just you're sleep deprived, and everything's 100% worse, and all the emotions are so much more heightened. But basically, I am so proud of what my brother and I put together for Dad's funeral. Like, you watched it online, it was really cute. Dad was an ex-police officer, and so the Police Surfing Association and like just the police force in general got super involved, and they did a police guard of honour when Dad was leaving the chapel, or like not the chapel, like the place that we had the funeral at. Like, Dad would walk out and there was a police like saluting him, and there was this police playing bagpipes at the funeral. And then this was so special. We had like a police escort and motorbike, like all Dad's because Dad was a motorbike rider, so he had like all his motorbike friends come on motorbikes, and then Dave, my brother, rides as well, so he rode his motorbike right behind Dad's hearse as he got escorted out, and we rode up to where the wake was, which was at Dad's local beach.
My dad was actually saying, because my dad went there, he said it was actually pretty funny.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm such an idiot.
The police like escorted all the the people on the motorbikes, and
the police closed down the intersection to escort Dad and all the motorcycle riders out.
And then me and Ellidy fangs out in this little car with someone, and then the lights change and the light turns red, and she was meant to go behind all the people in the motorbikes, and the cops had to come and like stop everyone so Ellidy can go through the set of lights because she didn't make it in time.
Look, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed at the best of times, but basically the police had literally shut down the intersection so that our whole fucking entourage could like escort Dad out, and there was this escort leaving with the police highway patrol had shut down the intersection, and the light went red where I was. So I stopped because I was just like, well, it's a red light, and it just felt weird to go through it, even though I've definitely done that a million times. But the one time I was meant to go through a red light, I stopped, and everyone's like, what are you doing? Fucking stopping. Like, and so then I had to quickly go, and it was so awkward, and I had to try and catch up with Dad and the boys on the bikes, and it was honestly, and then I was blasting the Rolling Stones because that's Dad's favourite in the car, and one of my oldest friends was in the car with me, and we were just in there like crying and laughing and singing at the top of our lungs. And then my brother and I planned this really awesome wake at Dad's favourite beach. And ad break. Esmi's new Skintrients range has been created as skin support system, nourishing your skin from the inside while you continue to support your skin using your favourite topical products. I'll be popping these pills like little Skittles. Not really. It's unfortunately just one capsule per type per day, darlinks. Don't OD on those things.
Another great service that Esmi have to offer is their free live skin consultations online. Simply head to esmi.com.au and speak to one of their qualified skin consultants. And don't forget, you'll receive a free mini skin treat when you spend $60 or more. I'll be grabbing a mini hyaluronic hydrating serum. Code is DarlingShine and valid to the 24th of March 2022.
So, yeah, I'll forever just be so proud of what David and I achieved for Dad's send-off, and I guess just celebrate Dad forever. And it's just bizarre that I'll just never see him again. But
yeah,
fuck.
it is. It's a weird thing to comprehend.
They just better be together is all I can say. That's what'll just keep me going. And thank God Minnie got to meet her Opa. And so, yes, now I'm back home after 3.5 months of being away, and I'm finally back with you, Chloe. And you...
that was a really long time, because I was like losing my mind back up at home here going, fuck, when is she coming home? And I was like, are you sure you can't come home? Because I was stuck up here because I had my surgeries and I wasn't able to fly. So it was so weird. We've had so many moments throughout this year where we actually couldn't physically be together.
Yeah.
Like with all the COVID stuff and me being stuck over in LA and then not being able to come home for Minnie's birth, and then it literally, we're in the same country, but the borders were closed. And
so emotional finally getting home and then being together and just hanging out. And you've been going through so much too. You've got to fill everyone in on IVF and the wrist and just everything.
Yes, the wrist.
The saga of the wrist.
Freaking wrist saga. That happened on November 6th, and where are we now? We're like end of February. What is that, November, December, January? That's like nearly 3 months now. It doesn't actually seem like that long. No, it's nearly 4 months.
Wow.
But yeah, so I guess a lot of you probably were wondering as well why I wasn't with Paul over New Year's Eve. And it was because of all this COVID shit again. I actually had all intentions of going throughout the whole process, and he played in Arizona, then Vegas, and then straight to Cabo on the 1st, and was spending a couple of days in Cabo with all of our mates, and I was so jealous of that. But because Queensland, where we live, was still essentially, the borders were still up, even if I went on that trip, you're not actually allowed to have surgeries within 2 weeks of returning home from overseas. So my window, even if I went over there just for New Year's and then came back, I had booked in on the 10th of January to have a laparoscopy with my IVF doctor, Dr. Keung, on the 10th. So there was just no way I was going to be able to have that surgery. And for me, that's was a priority, because obviously we want to fall pregnant this year. Yeah. And I was like, I'll stay home. I'll get this laparoscopy, and basically with the laparoscopy, they go inside you and just make sure your uterus is all fine. There's no cysts or there's no endometriosis, and your lining and everything's just looking good, because my doctor in the States was trying to tell me that it was not good. And then my doctor here, when he went in, he's like, it looks completely fine.
Being told so many different things by different doctors.
I just have been lately just trying to feel my gut instinct and really go with what I believe is right, obviously with advice from the doctors. So I stayed back. I got this surgery on the 10th. And then literally I had to wait till I got my next period, because I was going to do another round of IVF. And I know a few people have asked me as well, why are you doing another round of IVF? I know, you've got embryos already. Why would you put yourself through it again? But I've only got actually one embryo here. Well, I had only one embryo here. So I just figured, while I'm in Australia, let's just get this all done. And do another round. It can't hurt. I'd love to have a few more up my sleeve if I can, because obviously I've done 2 rounds over here, and I've only ever got one to freeze, which I have, and then I used one and I miscarried that last year. So I figured while I was here, it would be a no-brainer to do another round.
Yeah.
So I then got my period, I think maybe 2 weeks later or something. Oh, no. Yeah, I got my period 2 weeks later, and you start IVF on day 1 of your cycle. So I started the needles. This was on the Monday. In the meantime, the wrist saga kind of was continuing. And when I moved back from LA, I saw so many different doctors. I was in a cast, out of a cast. I was being given advice by all these different surgeons and specialists. And it got to the point where I was seeing this physio up here, and he's like, no, I just don't think it's right. Honestly, I was in so much pain still, which just wasn't I'd been out of the cast, so it should have been fixed basically. But I wasn't getting this full rotation, and basically what the issue was, it had healed 20 degrees in the wrong direction. So I eventually...
Torture.
Yeah, torture.
And painful.
And I'm right-handed, so I have only just been able to start putting my hair up, even using a hair elastic. So that's why my hair's always out or in a clip. washing my hair. I've only just been able to wash my hair again. Putting a tampon in, nightmare. Like it's all just like not fun. But so I ended up getting referred to this wrist specialist up here, and his name was Professor Bindra. And I thought, why not? Professor? It's better than a doctor. So I saw him, and I started my IVF cycle on the Monday, and on the Tuesday I got a call up from Professor Bindra's offices saying, hey, we can, like, surgeries have opened back up because they've been closed with COVID as elective surgeries. We can get you in on Friday. I was like, fuck, I literally just started this round of IVF. Is this going to affect, because it was a 2-hour surgery, because they had to cut my arm open, they had to re-break it, grind it back, get a bone graft from my right hip, put that into the joint, put a big plate in, and 8 screws. So I was like, is this going to affect the IVF process? Surely, like, I'm under anaesthetic for 2 hours. And I spoke to Dr. Ung, my fertility doctor, and he was like, nah, it's fine, like, all good, just go for it. So I was like, okay.
You had to get hip surgery like an old lady.
So I was doing my needles, had the wrist surgery on the Friday. The following Thursday, I had in the meantime, I'm going having ultrasounds with the fertility doctor, and everything was like kicking along fine. And then I had a collection the following Thursday. Mind you, I literally couldn't walk because my hip was so bad. And I got 7 embryos, which I was so happy with. Like, I was like, maybe these babies just liked the drugs or something.
I think they were, you were probably more relaxed or something because you had the bullshit of the wrist and stuff going on, as the wrist and the hip.
Because I said to him, he's just like, as long as you're feeling fine. And I honestly think that I came into this year feeling like in a better place than ever. Like, I was like, no, I'm confident. This is good. It's January. I've got a big year ahead of me. I'm going to get this done. Let's get it all done at once. Like, I'm going to be flicking the wrist in no time. So let's just smash it out.
Wrist.
So yeah, I got the collection 7. We collected 7 embryos. 5 of the 7 were mature. And then they inseminated 5 with Paul's sperm. And then I got the call on day 1 that 3 of them had lasted the night. And then it's a really gnarly wait. It's so stressful. I actually think that it's almost worse than the 2-week wait that. So you wait until day 5 and they update you every day. And I had the 3 little embryos that lasted all the way to day 4. They were all looking very strong, and then on day 5, 1 had dropped out. So I was able to get 2 really, really good embryos all the way to day 5, which is like the best result I've had here in Australia. So I had 1 grade A1 and 1 grade B1, and then we've proceeded to go in and they take a biopsy of them and genetically test them. So it's like 1 extra tick just to like before you do a transfer, because they can be very good grades, but they can still be genetically abnormal, and that's when you'll miscarry. So we're kind of just having a little bit of a break. I haven't drunk still, which is like epic. I haven't drunk since New Year's Eve. Look, I've had a glass of wine here and there, but I just figured I wasn't drinking through all the IVF, and then I was just like, well, I feel really good right now. Why would I just like push on through until like I do the next transfer? Like my body, I honestly, I am feeling the best I've felt in almost over 2 years since we've started, since we started trying. So I thought I might as well just keep on the bandwagon. Paul's actually gone away again now, so it's just me here on the Gold Coast. And yeah, I'm feeling good. Like I really do believe that maybe towards the end of last year I had this shift.
You're like a different person this year. I
don't know. I feel like lighter. I feel happier. I don't know. I just feel like, I feel like a new girl. And it's really weird because I've been trying to work out what it was. And there has been a few things specifically that I have been doing. And I did, towards the end of last year, our good friends over there, they did this thing called brain training. And they always raved about it. And like they put this cap on your head, and it has like all these little electrodes. And they read your brain waves because you've got, I think, 5 or 6 different brain waves, and it reads your brain waves. I think you spend 7 minutes staring at the wall in front of you with your eyes open, which, mind you, is so hard just looking at one spot. You kind of like get a bit tired. And then 7 minutes with your eyes closed, and in that time it measures all your brain waves, and it tells you different parts of your brain, if there's any trauma or if you've had any like concussions when you were younger, and like, so then
that's so crazy. I want to do it.
Then what? And so our friends they were raving about it, and they paid for the consultation for Paul and I to both have it done. And I was like, I felt bad because I was like, fuck, I might as well just do it because they've paid. Anyway, then I like they were like, showed me my brain map, and they're like, oh, you've got like a lot of red at the base of the back of your head, which indicates to us that your body is really, really stressed. You might not feel stressed, but we can tell from your brain that your body is under a lot of stress. And then there was also like a bit of redness around beside my ears, and he goes, have you got a really bad memory? And I said, yes, it's so bad. Like I question myself all the time, like why? And he's like, we can fix that. So basically they send you home with this thing, which it was a couple of grand in the end, but I was like, fuck, I'm in this fire, I've got to do this now. It's like this headband that you wear across your face, and it comes with like a little electrode, like a little wire that in the training you do different parts. You got
sucked in.
Yeah, I got sucked in. But I feel like this is why I am where I am, because you put the little thing on your head. Each session it tells you where to put it, and it's so fucking boring because you have to watch on your phone these like activities. You got to do 6 5-minute slots and games, and basically what you do, you watch your screen on your phone, you watch this game, and for example it might be like 2 rocket ships and you're one and then the opponent's the other one, and basically the aim is for your rocket ship to be like going higher than the other one, but the way that it's being controlled is your brain waves. So when your brain is doing the right thing, your rocket's like soaring really high, but when your brain's not doing as it's told and reacting, it like slows right down. So it's all about training your brain and how to...
That's so weird.
And so you do 20 sessions, and it's basically rewiring the way that your brain works and how it reacts to different things. So when I go back to LA, I'll go and do I'll put the thing on my head, and it will track to see how much has changed in my brain. And he said, look, a lot of people have done IVF and have come and done this, and they've had a full shift in their brain, and they've fallen pregnant straight away.
So when you go back, you hopefully won't have any red
there. Yeah. So like my friend Geeta who did it, hers was completely different, her brain, and it was showing that her brain was constantly in fight or flight.
Oh, wow.
Constantly at that level. Whereas my fight or flight was completely fine. It was just like different,
Stresses.
So each person, I said, Paul's like, I'm going to go do it when I get home. I'm like, I would hate to fucking think what they pull up on your brain. That thing is constantly going.
It would be
scary.
ADD.
He'd have to do like 50 sessions to fix that shit.
Oh my God.
I did that. And then also another thing as well, which I don't know if I've told you about this, but when I was in Ibiza, back in, when it was like September or something, one of my really good friends over there does this thing called CAP, and it's called Kundalini Activation Process.
What? You did not tell me about this. That's
okay,
fucking
surprise. So basically you like lie in a room, and it's sort of like a yoga sort of thing, but it's all about moving energy around in your body. And again, she was like, it could really help with your fertility and like clearing all blockages. So basically if you're doing it in the room with her, you're laying there and she'll have like this crazy music going on. It goes for an hour, and she'll like touch different parts of your, like just come around and she'll touch different, and it's like moving.
Kind of like Reiki.
Sort of, but it's moving like different parts of your energy, and you're opening your meridian lines and your chakras and all that sort of stuff.
Wow.
So if you could, when you see those people in those when they have those sessions, sometimes in their bodies are like having these crazy moving like experiences where like they lift their chests up and like all that never happened to me, but I definitely sometimes. You see, because you lay there with your eyes closed, and sometimes like you see these crazy lights and like colors, and you'll twitch and all that sort of stuff. And when I was in LA, when we had left Ibiza, I was doing a few sessions just remotely, because she can actually sit on the other side of the computer and do it. It actually might be cool for you to try it.
I need that.
Yeah, she just sits on the other side of the computer, and you just lay there on a yoga mat. I've done it here a few times, and she just like helps like channel the energies. And a few different people have told me the different experiences they've had with it, and like they've had like full outer body, like they've seen things. And the only time that I felt like really hectic when I saw it was this one day in LA, and I remember I just saw this like insane orange light like in my third eye, and I was just like, what's going on? Like with my eyes closed, it was just like, it was kind of coming and going and like pulsing. And when I was talking to her after, she's like, orange is like your, is it the chakra that's all aligned to your hormones? And she was just like, you must be like having like hormonal imbalance and blah, blah, blah. So honestly, I say that I don't know what shifted me, but the more that I think of it, I feel like those two things in combination. I honestly was talking to my friend who gave me the brain training, and I was like, he's like, how you feel? I go, honestly, I think this is bullshit. Like, I do not feel any different, and I just don't understand. But now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, it's a no-brainer, literally.
Yeah. I feel, pardon the pun. I feel like you did just come into this year so much lighter. You were carrying so much baggage from
carpet. Like,
like,
here I am.
Red carpet entry into 2022.
Oh no, it wasn't a red carpet, it was a magic carpet.
A magic carpet.
Like
you just came sliding in, doll.
Yeah, so it was.
It would have been a combination of all those things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I feel weird saying that I'm in such a good place and I'm so happy when you've just gone through like complete polar opposite situations.
It's fucking never-ending.
It's just I feel
it's up and down for both of us.
I feel very confident coming into this year, and with this IVF sort of stuff, I'm like really hoping that we can in the next few months like do a transfer, fall pregnant. Everything's all good.
Me too.
Wrist is fucking fixed. It's a bit speaking of wrist, it's a little bit sore still, which is really not concerning, but it's just a bit annoying because I feel like I went really well the first 2 weeks. I was doing really well with my physio and I had a lot of progress, but it's just like he said the last 20% is like the hardest part to like click over.
Because you're naughty. You haven't been wearing your cast, darling. Naughty.
Hopefully he doesn't listen. I doubt he does.
But you even saw Rebecca recently, our psychic, who is amazing. She's a psychic medium, and she noticed straight away your shift. She was like, wow, you're like a new person.
I booked this psychic person in January of 2021 and I waited a whole year and
worth the wait.
Worth the wait. She's amazing, Rebecca. Holy shit. I've had a session with her before like 10 years ago and I forgot what it was like, and yesterday was, or a couple of days ago when I had it, it was just, she immediately was like, whoa, your energy is like yeah, she picked up on it straight away. And I think, and one of my favourite parts, because she was picking family members literally by name. She'd say the letter and then she'd say two names.
She's amazing.
And she would say, like, when she's like, oh, your grandma's here, she goes, like, J, starts with a J, Joan, Judy. And I go, oh my God, Judy. And then we kind of got talking about Elle and Chumpy. And then she goes, oh, hang on a second. She like laughs to the ceiling and she goes, oh, Chumpy wants to say something. And I said, what? What do you want to say, Chumpy? And he goes, he just wanted to address that he knows that Ellidy was like cursing and screaming and swearing at him during birth. And I go, yeah, she was doing that.
I love it because I literally was like, fuck, Chump, this is so painful. Help. Where are you?
Yeah, so he's like, I know, I'm really sad that I wasn't there. And she was also saying that it's weird because like I don't think that it's any bullshit, because the shit that she was saying to me, and like I was just like, wow, you were so bang on everything. Yeah. And she was also saying, she's like, Chummy really wanted to let you know how much he loves the nursery, what you've done, and there's this piece of art in there. It's like a linear drawing and it's of the three of you or somewhere in the house that he just like loves, and it just means that he's actually still really there. Like it just, shows that. And she was just like, honestly, it was a 2-hour session. So I've recorded it. You can sit and actually listen to it properly, but there was just so many beautiful signs in there that she was giving me. And I was just I'm always like, I got to remember this and then tell you after, but I did record it. So yeah, she's
insane. At first I was like, oh, she's a con artist because she's just too good. But then she would know intricate personal jokes like between just me and Chump that no one else would know, and she would tell them to me. And when you're with her, isn't it like you're with Chump or you're with your nan or whoever she's connecting to at that moment? It's like they're right there. She's just amazing. But she doesn't need a shout out because she's bloody booked out for years. She spoke
to me like so much about my grandma, and I was asking her a lot about when she passed after our wedding in Bali and if she was at peace, and she was saying, no, your grandma's trying to tell me that like she waited, like you said with your dad, she was waiting for that moment, and she was always going to go to the wedding. She said there was a lot of pressure of her going, not going. Yeah. But she said she almost waited to go to the wedding because she was with all of your family, and she just, like, that was her time, and that was always going to be her time. Whether she was, because I said I feel really guilty that she was the only reason why she was in Bali was because of our wedding. If she was at home in Australia, would have she got better treatment and been in the hospital, and she might not have died. Yeah. But she was just saying like, no, I was always going to be there, and whether I was in Australia or not, I was always going to pass away, and that was always going to be my time. And I wasn't one to hang around. I didn't want to have brain damage or anything like that. It's crazy how they, and she was just laughing. She was like, God, your grandma is so funny. Like this, she was just like, oh, she's very funny.
I love it when they do that. They start to, like, she'll giggle and she'll be like, oh, he's saying this. And I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah.
Like, you can't have Googled that.
It's funny.
I actually, speaking of like mediums and signs, like the first time I went out after Dad passed away, I was at this cafe with my brother, and straight away my dad's favourite song that he has not stopped singing, Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones, came on in the cafe as soon as I sat down. And all through his palliative care, every time we'd go over, and if we'd cry or we'd tell a really fun story from growing up, he'd start to cry. So every time there was emotions, he'd, like, you know, or if he'd cry, he'd say, oh, Ellie, you make a grown man cry. And that's like one of the key lyrics of that song. And that song came on straight at, like, I don't hear much of the Rolling Stones anymore, but that song came on straight away as I sat down, and I was just like, for me, it was just massive sign that Dad's okay and he's up there with Chump, and I just
even through like the last like month with like all this IVF stuff, I've been asking for so many signs, and I love it. I love a sign because like I get given them a lot. I was like, I want 1111, 111. I want to see feathers and rainbows, and I kid you not, like throughout the whole of January, every second day I either saw 1111 or a feather or a rainbow. Like it was just like, this universe cannot tell me any clearer that this is my time. So I was pretty stoked with that.
And I know. I
love a sign.
We love a sign here at Darling Shiny. Even just before coming here, my friend's mum, Penny, who's babysitting Minnie just while we're recording, she straight away was like, oh, Chump's, like in my house. She was like, oh, Chump's here. I can even feel him in Rummy. Like he's just here. His energy's so good in this house. And I just love hearing that, because I think that. I feel like he's here. I feel like he's not gone. Yeah. But when other people say it, it's just so confirming for me. I'm like, wow, you didn't have to say that, but you genuinely felt it and you said it out loud, and I know it.
Nice.
I love it.
Before we wrap this up, there's a little activity that I want everyone to do to start the new year. And it's a little bit of a recommendation actually, because I love Matthew McConaughey, and I don't know if anyone follows him. He is just such a legend. His voice is so epic too. If you haven't already, download Audible and download his book Green Lights. He actually narrates it himself, and it's unreal. The stories he tells are so good.
He's so funny.
Oh, he's so funny, and like because he says it and he's got that like Western kind of voice, it's so good. He actually did exchange to Australia when he was younger, and it's so fucking funny, the story. He thinks like, I'm getting off the plane, I'm going over, I'm in Sydney, I'm in Bondi, and then turns out he gets in his fucking car, ends up like out the back of buttfuck nowhere with his family that are mad. Full crazy. He has to like escape and shit. It's so good. It's
when he was a young boy.
Yeah, when he was a young boy, I was thinking, fuck, if only Matthew McConaughey came and like visited my family on exchange,
would have loved that.
Would have loved that.
Old Al.
Anyway, I saw on his Instagram the other day that he posted this, and he's always goes on in this book that he journals. He's journaled his whole entire life, and he said that he opened this journal the other day, and it's all about creating contracts for yourself, and it was back in like 1992 or
it was 1993, I recall.
1993 that he found this diary, and it was his life goals, and there was 10 goals on it, and he's like, it was so crazy opening it back up because I basically accomplished every single one of those, and it's X amount of years later. And he's like, it's sick. I love that. And so that's what I want to do. We're going to do it as well. Everyone needs to take 5 minutes out of their day today, write it in like a little notepad. Don't put it in the notes on your phone. I feel like you need to handwrite these.
And bury the box.
And then put it in an envelope and put it in your underpants drawer, because you're always going to have an underpants drawer everywhere you live. Yeah. So whenever you move, you get that note and you bring it, and, you know, in 10 years' time, you open this up and see what you've accomplished. I love that.
Wow.
So good.
We actually do have a time capsule that we need to unlock. I'd hate to see what I said I thought my life was going to end up.
We're purposely not opening that for a while. That needs to be done over a few bottles of wine. It definitely wasn't how we foresaw our life to be.
No
Yours
chance.
Anyway.
Wow. Well, both of ours. I mean, fuck.
Yeah,
Bit on.
Yes.
This episode should just be called Bit On.
But, we could have actually spoken forever just now.
I
but
have so much more to say.
We definitely have to wrap this up, because you guys are probably going, okay.
Yeah, sorry everyone, but this season's going to be amazing. We've got incredible guests coming on, so hold on to your knickers.
And we also have got some live events in the pipeline. So Sydney people, Melbourne people, Gold Coast people, end of April, early May.
We're coming.
We're coming to a state near you. So we're so excited about that. We'll definitely be posting more information about that very soon. You'll be able to buy tickets.
Wow, that's crazy.
And lastly, you can also rate and review us if you like us, because we're so passionate about, you know, getting the word out there for all the topics that we talk about with grief and fertility and IVF, and we can only get in more people's ears with the help of you guys. So you could actually rate us on Spotify too these days.
And join our Facebook community too, because there's heaps of like so many little groups going on within the group. Like people are making friends in there and like-minded people going through certain things, and it's just really, it's so sick, that group. I'm just so proud of what we set up there.
Yeah, so we will leave you at that, and we'll be back in your ear holes next week.
We love you all. Thank you for listening again.
Bye.
Oh, and P.S. guys, as of next week, we will be starting a new segment called Asking for a Friend, where we will pick a new question each week to answer by you guys anonymously.
Yes, so if you have a question, you can head to the link in our bio on Instagram, or we'll put it in our show notes. And send us the questions and we will answer them for your ear holes.
Boom.
Bye.